Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are thrilled to have you join us, and we genuinely appreciate your time and interest. While we wait for more attendees to log in, let me extend a warm welcome on behalf of Total eBiz Solution. Today, we'll be discussing more on the topic of the future of e-invoicing, particularly on Malaysia's E-invoicing Initiative, which is basically to simplify and digitize the invoicing process and set new standards for better efficiency. I'm Vinita. I head marketing at Total eBiz Solution, and I'll be the host for the event. Before we actually go into the event, there are a couple of housekeeping rules that I would like to share with you. As you can see on the screen, we would request all of you will be muted throughout the webinar. Of course, you can submit your questions via the Q&A screen at any time. Most of your questions we will try to address at the end of the session. We have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the webinar. This session would be recorded, and we will be sharing this recording via email to all the registered attendees. We are fortunate to have with us today speakers who will be talking about e-invoicing for business digitalization. And then we have a functional expert from TEPPS who will be talking about a specific e-invoicing solution of TEPPS, and followed up with panel discussion and Q&A, where we'll be joined by a Microsoft expert and TEPPS and MDEC experts. So this is what we have lined up, and hope you would find it insightful. Before actually getting kick-started, I would like to give a brief overview as to who we are, what we do, and how we are helping our clients in their digital transformation journey. We are basically a company headquartered in Singapore with close to 2 decades of experience. We have worked with diverse clients across industries. We have 20 plus years of implementing digital technologies. We have more than 150 clients across different geographies. We have 6 global offices having headquarters in Singapore, with offices in Malaysia, Australia, UAE, India, to name a few. We have worked on more than 1,000 projects, enabling clients across different industry verticals to embark on their digital transformation journey. We have over the years developed Microsoft competencies. We've been a very strong partner since 2016. We have competencies built up for business applications, data, AI, Azure, modern work, to name few. We are awarded partner in Singapore. As you can see, we have won awards across different kind of recognition. Recently in Singapore, we were awarded for partner of the region for government vertical and non-profit vertical. We offer comprehensive services across application engineering, automation, artificial intelligence, cloud, security, data, AI, application management services. So we have a dedicated country sales manager based in Malaysia. And if any of you in the audience would like to know more about these, we would love to hear from you. We would be sharing the contact coordinates in case if you would like to reach out. With that, let's just get into our first segment. And it's our pleasure to have with us today Ms. Esther Lee. She is the lead for service provider development at the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, also known as MDEC. She brings on table with her 23 years of experience in business development and stakeholder engagement. She's leading the E-invoicing initiative at MDEC and helping clients in their digital transformation journey and embracing the E-invoicing initiative. With that, she'll be talking a lot more detail about E-invoicing, all the initiatives and the program. So Esther, over to you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Esther from the Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to Total eBiz Solutions for inviting me to speak today. I'm excited to share insights on how e-invoicing for business digitalization can transform and streamline operations. Without further ado, let's dive in. In Malaysia, e-invoicing is being implemented with two distinct yet complementing components, which is e-invoice for tax reporting and compliance, which is undertaken by LHDN, e-invoicing for business digitalization, which is undertaken by MDEC. So what is the difference between the invoicing implemented by MDEC and LHDN? LHDN's initiative requires businesses to submit a copy of their e-invoice to LHDN to be validated before the e-invoice can be passed to the buyer. LHDN has set a mandatory implementation timeline for businesses starting 1st of August 2024 for businesses with revenue of 100 million and above, and eventually to all businesses by July next year. And MDEC's initiative will digitalize and automate the exchange of e-invoice between businesses, transforming from manual paper-based or PDF-based invoice exchange into a system-to-system data transfer, i.e., interoperable e-invoicing. When businesses adopt interoperable e-invoicing, they will also fulfill the e-invoicing for tax reporting and compliance requirements. These two components complete the e-invoicing ecosystem in the country. Okay, and when businesses adopt e-invoicing for business digitalization, they will also fulfill the requirements for tax reporting as well. So now we will go into more details on the e-invoicing initiative by us, MDEC. So MDEC being an agency under the Ministry of Digital, one of our main role is to drive digitalization. So the e-invoicing for business digitalization implemented by MDEC is part of the digital transformation program that digitalize on how businesses send invoice to other businesses, which is B2B. So the objective here is to drive interoperable e-invoicing, and the keyword here is interoperable, which allow different accounting software and ERP system to send and receive e-invoices in a system-to-system manner. E-invoicing for business digitalization using the PEPPOL framework is part of Malaysia's digital economy agenda. The National E-Invoicing Initiative undertaken by MDEC is a program under the 12th Malaysia Plan, My Digital Blueprint, NESR 2.0, and is also one of the Pemangkin program. Why is this important? Because it shows the direction of the country is moving forward interoperability in line with global trends. Hence, businesses should embrace and move in the same direction to stay competitive and not left behind. In terms of problem statement, if we look at the current state, currently there are many businesses in Malaysia are still sending and receiving invoice using paper or PDF invoices, which require many steps, as shown in the diagram. Okay, sending e-invoicing using PDF may save a few steps, such as printing and mailing, but has fundamental problem, which is the data from paper or PDF invoice needs to be manually keyed in to the accounting software or ERP system. This may cause challenges such as labor-intensive, high-cost, insecure process, and time-consuming. Okay, and another common challenge is when a company receives a paper or PDF, usually that invoice will remain on the desk or in the email of the staff without being processed for days or even weeks. And when the staff actually process and key in the data in the accounting software, sometimes there are data entry errors, which can lead to payment dispute, payment delays, and so on. So all these challenges can be overcome by using e-invoicing for business digitalization, where invoice will be sent in an integrated and structured data format from system to system without the need for manual data entry. This is where interoperability e-invoicing comes in, when e-invoice can be exchanged regardless of hardware and software use. So what is interoperability? Here are some examples of interoperability which we can see in the industry. Interoperability in banking is like the MAPS network, which you can use the Maybank ATM card to withdraw money on RHB ATM machine. So the interoperability offered by MAPS network allows the data to be exchanged regardless of which bank ATM machine, which is the hardware, and ATM operating system, which is the software used. Okay, in telco, we also have the ability to make calls between different telco providers. For example, Celcom and Maxis. So by having this interoperability in telco network, data can be exchanged regardless of telco provider, hardware or software. So e-invoicing interoperability means businesses can send and receive e-invoice regardless of hardware and software use. Okay, in order to achieve interoperability for system-to-system data transfer, this initiative will introduce an interoperable e-invoicing framework that will standardize the specification and message format for the transmission of electronic invoices between different accounting software or ERP. If we look at example of existing accounting software or ERP system in the market, as you can see here, for example, SAP cannot send invoice system to system manner to, for example, IBM because of different formats that they are using. So what MDAC is doing in this initiative is to standardize the e-invoice specification used by all these accounting software or ERP system so that they can use the same format. Hence, they can talk to each other. To standardize the specification and message format, this is where PEPPOL comes in. So what is PEPPOL? PEPPOL is not a platform nor a system. PEPPOL is a set of technical specifications that standardize the way information is structured and exchanged. MDAC has studied various e-invoicing standards or frameworks used by other countries and found that PEPPOL framework is the most suitable for use in Malaysia. PEPPOL is an established, proven standards, and most importantly, it is the most widely used invoicing framework around the world, with more than 20 countries already using it, which includes Singapore, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and many more countries in Europe, such as Belgium, UK, Germany, and so on. So other important advantage of using PEPPOL is that it enables interoperability at domestic level as well as global level. So how does PEPPOL e-invoicing works? Let's look at the end user perspective first, which is the supplier and the buyer. What is the differences between a non-PEPPOL solution versus a PEPPOL-ready solution? In a non-PEPPOL solution, when the user creates an invoice, after keying in the details in the accounting software, usually there are two options on how the invoice can be distributed to the buyer. They can print the invoice or export to PDF. With a PEPPOL-ready solution, there is a third option, which is send via PEPPOL. This is where the user just key in the recipient's PEPPOL ID and click send. A PEPPOL ID is similar to an email address of a company. So the invoice will be sent to the buyer and all the invoice data will be pre-populated in the recipient's accounting software or ERP system. No manual data entry is needed. This is what the end user need to know. Just like how we send an email, just click send, the data and email will be transmitted to the recipient. So the user doesn't need to know how the back end works, okay? So what are the benefits? Why should we implement e-invoicing using the PEPPOL framework? By implementing e-invoicing, for business digitalization using the PEPPOL framework, it will digitalize your business operations from manual paper or PDF-based invoice to a fully automated e-invoice exchange in a system-to-system manner. Here are the 5 key benefits. It will increase the efficiency of your business operations because it is the use of invoicing for B2B will eliminate the manual data entry, reduce paper handling, which leads to a shorter process. No more data entry errors and will reduce overall cost. Another benefit is the increased level of security with e-invoice transmission from system to system with end-to-end encryption. This is much more secure. PEPPOL being an international standards that is being used in more than 20 countries, businesses in Malaysia can also send invoice with businesses from other countries who are using the same standards. So this will definitely improve the cross-border data exchange and ease the overall transaction. And e-invoicing will reduce papers, reduce carbon footprint, and requires less space. Implementing e-invoicing using PEPPOL will also enable you to comply with tax requirements and make it easier for you to submit e-invoice to LHDN. So what is the role of MDAC in e-invoicing? Okay, this is one of the common questions that we get asked a lot. So every country that intends to use PEPPOL framework will need to appoint an entity as the lead implementer, or we call it PEPPOL authority. And that has been mandated by the government to be the PEPPOL authority for Malaysia. So these are the 5 key functions, being the PA for Malaysia. First is to localize the PEPPOL framework to suit the Malaysian environment. Secondly is to govern the implementation of PEPPOL framework in Malaysia so that it is aligned with the implementation of the PEPPOL framework in other countries. And the third function is to set up interoperability infrastructure, which is the service metadata publisher, in short, SMP. SMP is the directory of registered users in a country. And next is to accredit PEPPOL service providers in Malaysia to verify that they have met the global PEPPOL requirements as well as incorporated the localized standards. And last but not least is to promote the adoption of interoperable e-invoicing, which we are doing now, right? We are having this webinar. So one of the key functions of MDAC as the PEPPOL authority is to accredit SP, and which we call service provider, and also PRSP, which is the PEPPOL ready solution provider. So SPs are PEPPOL access point that connects to the PEPPOL network. Their key function is to convert the e-invoice from the seller's accounting software or ERP format to the PEPPOL format and transmit the e-invoice to the buyer's access point. PRSPs are companies that provide accounting software, ERP systems, or platforms that offer e-invoice functionality and connected to the PEPPOL network via PEPPOL SP. Okay, and now we'll look at other component of e-invoicing, which is the e-invoicing for tax reporting and compliance implemented by LHDN. Here, businesses are required to submit their e-invoice to LHDN to be validated before the e-invoice can be passed to the buyer. So LHDN has specified several methods for businesses to submit e-invoice to them. First is via My Invoice Portal, which is a free portal provided by LHDN where taxpayers can submit their e-invoices. And secondly is API integration. So there are 3 ways, which is direct integration via a PEPPOL service provider and via a non-PEPPOL technology provider. So Total EB's solutions is actually using the second way, which is a PEPPOL service provider. Hence, why that is here, myself is presenting to you what is PEPPOL e-invoicing. Okay, so here are some of the key benefits of e-invoicing for tax reporting and compliance. First, reduction in manual efforts and human errors. Facilitate the return filing, enables streamlining of operations, and also digitalize financial reporting. Next, for e-invoicing for tax reporting, LHDN has set mandatory implementation in phases. Phase 1 is for businesses with an annual turnover or revenue of more than 100 million ringgit Malaysia, which commence on 1st of August. Here are approximately 5,000 large businesses, okay? Phase 2 is for businesses with an annual turnover of more than 25 million ringgit Malaysia, which commence on 1st of January next year. Phase 3 is for all businesses, which will begin 1st of July next year. This phase will impact more than 1 million businesses across Malaysia. To ensure the smooth transitioning and implementation of e-invoice, the government of Malaysia has, on 26th of July, agreed to provide taxpayers a 6-month relaxation period from the date of mandatory implementation of each implementation phase. You may refer to the LHDN e-invoice specific guidelines for more details. MDEC and LHDN are working together in the implementation of e-invoicing in Malaysia. MDEC has signed an MOU with LHDN on 25th October 2022 in KL for strategic collaboration to coordinate and align the implementation of National E-Invoicing Initiative with tax compliance model. The two components of e-invoicing implemented by MDEC and HDN can be visualized in this diagram. On the right is the e-invoice for tax reporting and compliance. Businesses can send invoice to LHDN for validation through the My Invoice portal or through direct integration or through PEPPOL provider or technology provider. And on the left is the implementation of e-invoicing for business digitalization. This is where businesses will digitalize the transform of their operations from manual paper PDF invoice to an automated e-invoice distribution from supplier to buyer in a system-to-system manner, while at the same time fulfill the tax compliance requirements. So how is this done? The supplier sends e-invoice through their PEPPOL ready accounting software, which is corner one. The e-invoice will go to the PEPPOL SP corner two. Note that your e-invoice, let's call your your commercial e-invoice, may have more than 55 data fields required by LHDN. The PEPPOL SP corner 2 will extract the required 55 data fields from your e-invoice and submit to LHDN system via API for validation. The validated e-invoice will be returned to corner 2. Corner 2 will insert back your additional data fields into your validated e-invoice. So from corner 2, the validated e-invoice will be sent to the buyer's access point, corner 3, and then to corner 4, which is to the buyer. A copy of the validated e-invoice will also be sent back to the supplier for safekeeping. Okay, this will be my last slide. So yeah, what you can tell here is the cost and benefits comparison between both options. Okay, so you can see here that by using PEPPOL service provider, it complies to LHDN. It is certified by the authority, which is MDEC, and you can distribute the e-invoice, and the implementation cost is relatively low. And also the maintenance is actually implemented by the PEPPOL service provider. And other benefits, of course, is to future-proof your integration for both tax reporting and invoice distribution. And you also leverage on the digital transformation where your business process will be improved, and in terms of traceability with higher degree of control and insight into the invoicing process. And then it will also reduce your paper consumption, secure your network and increase data and integrity and so on. And it is suitable for all businesses. Okay, so with this, I'll end my presentation here today. For more details on e-invoicing for business digitalization using the PEPPOL framework, do visit us at mtech.my/national-e-invoicing or scan the QR code on the left. For inquiries, you may email to click@mtech.com.my. For information on e-invoicing for tax reporting and compliance, do visit hasil.gov.my or scan the QR code on the right. And you may also email them on myinvoice@hasil.gov.my. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther, for that comprehensive presentation. I'm sure, our audience would have a much clearer understanding of the entire invoicing initiative, PEPPOL framework, and its impact on business. And our next speaker today is Sarvanan, who's a techno-functional expert at Total eBiz. He brings with himself a decade of experience implementing solutions for our clients, leveraging Microsoft products and platforms across Dynamics 365, Business Central, Power Platform. Today, he'll be sharing with us details on TEP's own specific e-invoicing solution and giving us a demo. So over to you, Sarvan.
Thank you, Vinita. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. As this part of this section, we will be covering a short presentation on the e-invoicing, and then going forward, we will see the demo on how to use the e-invoice system. So, firstly, we are proud to share that TIPS has been officially accredited as a PEPPOL ready solution provider by MTech. For our customers, this accreditation brings several benefits. It assures them that our solutions are fully compliant with PEPPOL security and data standards, making them a reliable, secure, and compatible standard. And this is also interoperable with other PEPPOL connected systems, as already highlighted by Esther. MDEX support further strengthens our commitment in Malaysia's digital transformation journey, and thank you so much for that. As you know, this session is all about so, just to say from my words, an e-invoice is like a digital handshake between a supplier and a buyer, recording a transaction in a structured format that's easy for systems to process automatically, irrespective of which system it is. Unlike traditional PDF or papers, e-invoices are structured digital files that move directly from one system to another. Of course, here we need MDEX and IRBM and LSDN support into this whole ecosystem. And it is also ensuring compliance and accurate data handling, avoiding any issues in this transaction. About our current methodology, like the manual entry. So manual entries have several limitations. When it's about the manual entries, it increases the risk of mistakes, leading to mismatched records and time consuming fixes. It also slows the entire workflow, impacting customer satisfaction. And in the case of increased operational cost, it affects small and medium business growth as well. These challenges highlights the need for a more automated, efficient solution, something e-invoice and digital tools can effectively address. About the benefits of e-invoicing, e-invoice brings several benefits to our operations. By unifying the invoice process, we can create and submit transactions in an electronic format, minimizing the need for manual and reducing errors. With seamless systems, tax reporting becomes more efficient and accurate, helping stay compliant with less hassle. This efficient boost saves significant time and costs, making our process smoother and more productive. In short, e-invoice simplifies invoicing, supports accurate tax reporting, and drives operational efficiency. So, finally, before going into the demo, what we will be seeing in this flow. So, when it's about the e-invoice workflow, there are five steps, and sixth one is about the portal. So, first is the issuance. When a sale is made, the supplier creates an e-invoice and submits it to MDEC. Second is the validation. MDEC checks the invoice in real time. Once approved, a unique identifying number is issued. And then the third is the notification. So the system informs both the supplier and then the buyer of the validated invoice. So these notifications are sent to the company's email IDs. And next is the sharing. So now the supplier is ready to share this validated information along with a QR code with the buyer, which can be verified on the My Invoice portal as well. There's also a provision for rejection or cancellation. The buyer has a limited time to request rejection, and also the supplier can cancel if there are any issues in the transaction. And finally, My Invoice portal. So overall, for both parties, they can access a summary of all the invoicing transactions here. This workflow ensures a seamless, transparent, and compliant invoicing process. And finally, allow me to introduce to Microsoft Dynamics Central, Business Central, a comprehensive cloud-based ERP solution designed to streamline and enhance business operations. With this, we will go on to our demo part. So I'll just stop sharing and switch the screen. So we developed our e-invoice module as an intellectual property on top of our Microsoft Business Central product. So before going into the demo, I just wanted to give you a brief understanding about how we are going to send the transactions. So in this demo, I'm going to use two companies, basically two business entities. So we are just using the tab one, which is supplier. So from this company, we are going to send the transaction, and the second entity is entity through which we would be receiving the transaction. So first is a company through which we are going to send it now. So we are in Total Labels company, and then second is our TEPS company. Just to know the company names, the Total Labels company, we have the customers, and in this customers list we have TEPS. So this is our customer to which we are going to send the transaction, and then in the second company we have the first company as the vendor. So when it's about the masters, you can also see the e-invoice ID would be available. So each and every company would be having their own unique e-invoice ID. We would be able to see those information in our vendor master and subsequently the customer masters as well. Now we will proceed on to the demo part. So we have developed our own product in such a way it should be easy for the customers access. So as you can see here, we have the queues, and we have a specific queue called e-invoice. So here you can see receiving document related queues and also sending document related queues, and also about the self billing. So if you see about the queues, the specialty is, so you can easily navigate to the system instead of going through several process. So if you want to go through the invoicing, just click on the invoice related queue, and then it would be a filtered view to show just the invoices. And also here you can see informations about, like, okay, what is the invoice number and from whom we received it, and also the vendor submission details, amount details, and also on which particular time they submitted. And further to that, if suppose we process the document, yeah, in our system the document is created, and then the purchase number, and suppose the purchase invoice is also created, you can see those kind of informations as well. And these are all the informations we would be able to see in a quick glance from this list page. We can also see the detailed information in our next screen, details screen. Okay. This is all to give you an idea, like how our solution is much easy to handle. Now we will be proceeding with creation of a sales invoice from company one. So I'm going to quickly create a sales invoice. So under sales, we see the sales invoice. Click on that, and then I'll be clicking on new to create a sales invoice. So I'll select my customer here. And as you can see from the customer, automatically the address information and then the date information, all these things get populated. So I can enter any vendor related reference number here, and I'll proceed on to enter the line level information. So I'm selecting a GL account, and I enter the GL account detail to which I wanted to process this transaction, and enter the quantity and the amount as well. So my invoice is good to go. In our system, we call the posting process, which is basically submission of the invoice. And after that, we will be seeing the invoice to be sent into the e-invoice network. So under each invoices, we would be able to see a tab called e-invoice. So here under the e-invoice, we have the sending action. We can also automate this process through a scheduled activity. So you don't need to click on this button. Automatically, if the invoice is submitted, we can send this through the e-invoice network as well. And second is the e-invoice log. So basically, if you want to track what stage it is, because when you initially send it, it would be sent to the network, and then it would be in the processing mode, then it would be successfully sent to the other party. So these status can be tracked through the e-invoice log area. And finally is the exporting of e-invoice XML. So basically, like whatever information we are going to send it, so it is all transparent from our side. If you wanted to view that information, we can always click on this information, and then you can download it as a XML file, which is basically a readable file format for your site. And finally, here you can see the e-invoice status. So besides clicking on the invoice log, if you wanted to have a quick glance, you can also see it here. Currently, we don't see any information here. We are going to send the e-invoice now. So I'll click on send e-invoice and then submit it. So the invoice had been submitted to the access point. You can see it is sent to access point as well. So I'll just click on e-invoice log here to see what all the information we would be able to see. So we can see the entry number, the invoice details as well. The more important information here is submission ID. So each and every invoice would be having its own unique ID here, and also the status would be shown. And if there is any response from the other party, you can also see those kind of messages here. So if you wanted to see the latest information, you can click on update status, and you can see the status have been now changed to sent to AP to received. So basically it is like the WhatsApp message. You initially send a message, it would be like circled, and then you would see a single tick, and then it will see double tick and blue tick. So something like that here also, it would be like sent, and then now it is received by the access point provider. So basically like they validate the information and then finally process it and then send to MDEC or LSTN. So now we already submitted that information. Assume that our transaction is already to the other company, which is our customer. So now I'm going to log in into the second screen. So this you can assume that this is a area where you would be able to receive that transaction. Okay. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to this e-invoice area and then click on receive documents. So if I click on this receive the documents, you can see all the invoices and credit memos which have been sent to me by my vendors. So I'll be clicking on fetch e-invoice or credit memos. This is basically to fetch all this new content which is sent to us. This also can be scheduled, and then you don't need to do it like every time you would be seeing the updated status information here. So there are some transactions already available, and if you see here, these are all the transactions which we received, and then it is yet to be created. Let's open and see this information. So I have this invoice. I'll click on show the document. So as you can see here, this is the information we received, and then from this staging information, we can smoothly create this as a purchase document, which is the purchase invoice. So what I'm going to do is, I know, okay, so this is the information which I received from my vendor. I'm going to select a GL account and then specify to which GL account I wanted to process. So for easier purpose, we also filtered the list of GLs which would be easy for the customers to be accessing. So let's say when you receive the transaction from your vendor, obviously it will be moving on to 5 to 10 GLs. So we have given a filtered view for you. So you don't need to go through a full list of your whole chart of accounts here. I'll select on that particular GL account, and then finally I'm going to click on create document, which would in turn create this as a purchase invoice. So as you can see here, the purchase invoice had been created. So supplier created the sales invoice and then sent it, and then now as a buyer we logged into the other entity, and then we also received the document. So this is how e-invoice is so smooth that you can send and receive transaction. And then for easy understanding, I have already created a transaction credit memo, so I'll just show you how smooth it is to send that as well. So I go to sales credit memo, and already there is a transaction available. To minimize the timing, I just show a created document. I'm just going to post this and also click on e-invoice submission part. So I have a e-credit memo option here. I'll click on send credit memo. So now this is also sent to the network. So as we already saw the 5 stages, so this would be sent to the network AP, and then finally it would be sent from there to LHDN and then to the other party. So this is how we would be also able to send the transaction here. We also have the self-billing process. So self-billing is nothing but, let's say we received some transaction in a PDF or paper format, because maybe some of the customers are still not into e-invoicing network. And then what if we need to process that document into the e-invoice network? So what we can do is we can quickly create a purchase invoice in our system. And then I just created a transaction for smoother process. So now we have the invoice, and what we are going to do is assume that we received a PDF document, and that particular customer have not been onboarded to e-invoice network. So we create this transaction in our system, and then we would submit this transaction in our system. And after submitting, we can do this self billing, which is nothing but send this information to the LHDN as well. So basically, if some of your customer or vendor are not into the e-invoicing network, you can smoothly send the transaction also to LHDN as a copy. So you can see that we send this also to self-billing and to the LHDN network. Okay, so we had covered invoices, we had covered the credit memo, we also covered the self billing. And I just wanted to introduce one more thing, which is Total eBus is also a pioneer in developing mobile app solutions. So we have our own e-invoice solution in the mobile app version as well. So I'll show that part as well. So here, as you can see, this is the app which we have developed for the sending part, and then this is the thing which we developed for the receiving part. So now as a sending, so why we require the mobile app version is like maybe in an organization, so you would be having CEOs and COOs might not be so into day-to-day's operation and all, but they wanted to know what is happening. Though they don't need to have this licensing in the financial system, they can just be having this mobile app version. So as you can see all this sender documents and also the receiving documents. So this is a quick glance of a list, and you can see the credit memos and then the credit memo numbers and all these information. And I can sort this to the latest information also. So I'll be seeing the latest information here, and the recent credit memo which is submitted. So it is very real time. You see, like just I submitted a credit memo, I can also see that credit memo transaction here. And what I'm going to do is like I wanted to see the detailed information. So I click on this area. So as I see here, so it is very real time. You see, like now it is 11:45. At 11:42, I have submitted this transaction. I can see that information here. So it would be giving a quick glimpse on what is that particular transaction type, credit memo, and then the number, and to which customer we have sent it, the amount details, and also what is the current status. So as the status is refreshed in the server, it will also get updated here. And we also have a mobile version for the receiving documents. So it is also very similar. I'll just open an existing document. So in this, suppose in an organization, the vendors have submitted all the transaction. So CEO or COO or even the financial controller, they can have a quick glance, and they can open the transaction in the mobile app itself. They would be able to see the transaction details. Okay, so whether they need to initiate information to their subordinates, okay, you can proceed this, basically the approval or rejection. These kind of controls also can be given into this mobile app itself. So this is our overall solution. So basically, others might be having only the web version, but we are also capable of providing the mobile version as well. And then we also have Copilot, which is the Microsoft AI features in our Business Central, and then the app version as well. So with this, I'll just hand over the session to Vinita back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saravanan, for giving us the solution showcase. Looks pretty interesting, especially the mobile version of it. I hope the audience also found it useful. With that, we move on to our next section, which is the panel discussion. And we are happy to have with us today Mr. Nikhil Biani, who is partner architect, senior partner architect at Microsoft. He brings with himself deep domain expertise in business application domain. He works extensively with partners across ASEAN region, driving innovation with Microsoft platforms and solutions. We are from MDEC, we have Esther Lee, and then we have Zaki, country sales manager at TEPS, and joined by Sarvanan again, who's a techno-functional expert. So, since the discussion is all around e-invoicing initiative, I would like to first start with you, Esther. That
Hi.
how do you kind of view MDEC's role for e-invoicing in Malaysia, considering its broader digital economy goals?
Okay, so MDEC aims to drive interoperable e-invoicing, which enable businesses to exchange e-invoice in a system-to-system manner with other businesses, regardless of hardware or software that they use. So we aspire to digitally transforming businesses in Malaysia from traditional paper and PDF-based invoice exchange to a fully automated system-to-system data exchange, i.e. the interoperable e-invoicing.
I know you shared in your presentation regarding PEPPOL framework, but would like to know as to why exactly did you all go for a PEPPOL framework, and how do you see its impact in business efficiency?
Okay, MTech has actually studied various e-invoicing standards or frameworks used by other countries and found that the PEPPOL framework is the most suitable to be used in Malaysia. And PEPPOL is actually a very established, proven standards, and most importantly, it is most widely used e-invoicing framework around the world, with more than 20 countries already using it, which beside European countries like UK, Belgium, Germany, it is also used by countries such as Singapore, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. In fact, we have been working very closely with the PEPPOL authorities from all these Asia Pacific countries, for example, Singapore and Australia in this.
You shared in your presentation specific dates by which you want to enable these initiatives. Do you feel there are some challenges that you are like, companies are coming with certain challenges that they have in implementation or embracing this initiative?
Oh, of course. I think, yeah, businesses commonly face several challenges when, transitioning to e-invoicing. For example, the initial cost and resource allocation, I would say, cost is, I think, their major concern, whereby, particularly SMEs, concerned about the upfront cost of integrating new e-invoicing system and dedicating resources for the transition. So some of our MDEC accredited SP or PISP do offer free solution or very low entry level package for SMEs to help reduce entry costs and make adoption more feasible for SMEs. And in terms of technical complexity and integration issues as well, for example, integrating the e-invoicing with their existing financial and ERP system can be technically demanding, especially for businesses which is unfamiliar with digital transformation. So in this context, MDEC has developed an accreditation program for PEPPOL service providers, whereby we ensure that the businesses have access to experienced PEPPOL service provider and also PEPPOL ready solution provider who can guide them through technical requirements and simplify the integration process as well. And in terms of awareness and understanding of e-invoicing benefits, some businesses may not fully recognize the advantage of e-invoicing, such as the improved cash flow, the error reduction, and also time saving, which can affect their motivation to adopt. So through education campaigns, webinars like what we are having now, also some case studies, MDEC would like to actually raise awareness of the benefits of e-invoicing for business digitalization, whereby we focus on creating a clear understanding of how digital invoicing contributes to operational efficiency and compliance, both domestically and also international, which is cross-border transaction.
Thank you. And how has been it progressing? Are you seeing that there are organizations which are embracing these initiatives?
Yes, definitely. We have already more than 1,000 businesses already registered in Malaysia SMP, and we have also transactions of more than 10,000. Actually, more than 10,000
That's great.
invoices actually transacted through PEPPOL network Malaysia back in September. So we haven't gotten the report for October, but yeah, by looking at September report, it is already
It's
very
promising.
impressive. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. And now I would like to move over to Nikhil. Thank you for joining us today. Nikhil, with a lot of digitization that has been, we've been discussing about the invoicing initiative. So a lot of doubts do arise around data security compliance. So my question would be around data storage and privacy compliance. How do you think Microsoft addresses Malaysia's data localization requirements? And what impact do you feel it has on the e-invoicing solution?
All right. Thanks, Vinita, and thanks for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. Look, with Microsoft, as you know, we take data security and compliance absolutely very seriously, right? There's no doubt, there's no second thought, right from our leaderships from the top to the bottom. Securities and data security is our key principle on which we operate to. Now, especially in cloud environments for financial invoice applications and solutions like this, when it comes to Gov portals, we take explicit measures and practices, right, to ensure that we maintain all the security and compliance needs. And I'll take a few examples like Microsoft Azure. We maintain a PCI DSS validation, which is a service provider level 1 validation, which is considered the highest level of compliance across the globe. Right. We also have modules like Azure Payment HSM, which is hardware security model. Right. It's a specialized service that provides key management and cryptographic operations for payment processing, invoice processing, which most of our solutions kind of support, including Business Central. Right. We also support various use cases within that, which includes invoice authorization, payment authorization, 3D secure authentication, tokenization, to name a few. Right. I think even Sarvana talked about it. Data encryption is very important, and Esther mentioned this in her presentation as well. With Microsoft, we used advanced encryption protocols to protect both data at rest as well as in transit, which includes the use of solutions like Azure SQL, Azure Data Lake, Business Central, Finance and Operations, Power Platform, right, and others different solutions we operate in the marketplace, which basically ensures that financial data that our customers store with Microsoft is protected from unauthorized access. Right, I can keep going on, but to name a few, there's regulatory compliances that we talk about, right, from PADSS to GDPR, which allows us to kind of maintain that certification on compliance assessment, audit trials, risk management solutions, and other pieces, right? And of course, when you talk about the whole Microsoft ecosystem, one big benefit we bring in is around collaboration and integration, right? With Microsoft, we integrate, like the Microsoft integration story is very popular, right? Like with the Dynamics 365 Business Central, you take Excel, you take Outlook, you take in Teams, you take the integration layer that we have. With this inbuilt integration, our customers can help eliminate the need to switch between different applications within their ecosystem. That ensures that data remains secure across the platform that they're using. Right, so that's the benefit we kind of bring in with our data security and privacy standpoint.
Thank you. Actually, you answered my second question also, because I had some questions around compliance. So, with so much of AI and automation that is, coming into picture, Nikhil, how do you think organizations are kind of Microsoft, in fact, ensures that AI and automation within Microsoft's ecosystem, it ensures the accuracy and compliance of this processes, particularly the invoicing processes?
No, absolutely. I mean, without I was expecting a question on AI, so that's good. Right. Look, businesses right now, let me just talk a little bit first about what are the different use cases most of our customers are leveraging AI for, which kind of gives you a holistic view of where this AI kind of sits right now. And then I can talk a little bit more on the compliance side of things. Right. Look, currently, and I'm not making this up, these are the real use cases that I currently work with most of my customers and partners, not just in Asia, but also across the world. businesses are absolutely leveraging AI and automation, right? With Microsoft whole Copilot ecosystem, which I'm sure most of you heard about. Like if I take some of those key strategies, the first one is around how customers are leveraging AI powered insights and predictive analytics, right? Which basically with solutions like Business Central, Finance and Operations, Power Automate, we ensure that the customer can just use the AI with the data that we have, which can help them do forecasting financial trends. They can identify anomalies. They can make data-driven decisions, right, by identifying those historical data and predict potential issues, right into the invoice processing as well. The next big example, especially around the invoice processing, is how automation in the invoice processing is coming into play, right? And if you talk to majority of our customers and CEOs in the industry, they'll say, hey, one key scenario they want to look at is how we can leverage AI and machine learning models that can automate the entire invoice processing, like how Servo was talking about, how we can automate the sending of the e-documents, right? And automate the whole end-to-end process, right from data extraction from the documents to invalidation of those documents to the whole approval process. We have those end-to-end solutions like Power Automate that can be used to create those custom workflows for the customers, which will allow them to reduce the whole manual process, manual errors, and automate that end-to-end process, right? And which also kind of ensures compliance in very way, because you can then inbuilt compliance in the whole invoice automation process, right? And then allows you to maintain those regulatory standards that the customers would need. The other area that a lot of customers really work on is on compliance monitoring itself, right? With AI, especially with Microsoft AI compliance tools we have, they can actually leverage AI to monitor compliance from an invoice processing itself, right, with the regulatory requirement. For example, if you take AI models that can be trained to detect discrepancies or non-compliant transactions, right? Alerting businesses to potential issues, and they could automatically be in escalate, right? Rather than having to manually foresee all of these, right? And then, of course, with enhanced security and data protection that I talked about, AI can also be leveraged, right, from the financial data model perspective, which will then help them do fraudulent prevention of activities. They can then use services like Azure Security Center, which uses AI internally to identify and mitigate security threats a lot of businesses face, right? So if you look at it from an end-to-end holistic view with what Microsoft does, right, we kind of keep security, privacy, as well as leveraging AI at the core of this, and we're trying to simplify things for our customers.
Thank you. Those were some excellent use cases. I'm sure the audience would have found it useful. In the benefit of time, I'll just have one last question for you, Zaki. You've been working in the Malaysian market with customers across industry sectors. Would you like to highlight some of the business benefits that you've seen with the client who have gone ahead with the e-invoicing solution?
Yeah, I believe so that the benefit is there, being highlighted by Esther and so Saravanan. Just matters of the adoption. So for me personally, we need to do more kind of this session with for the awareness, so that the businesses, the business owners, everything knows what they can benefit from this. Among the benefit that we can do is they can have it is on the compliance, especially, and also transparencies on the transaction, everything, and also on these kind of effectiveness. They can expedite the process on the operation, and they can also monitor closely their cash flows. Yes, Vinita.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Nikhil, you had something to add on to that.
No, sorry, Zaki, I took that up. But no, I think Zaki covered it really well. I mean, especially with Microsoft being an active partner with Malaysian government in the My Digital initiatives, we really work closely with most of our customers into that end-to-end digital transformation journey with our customers, right from their ERP solutions, CRM solutions, automation tools, data management, security. So yes, I mean, most of our customers today kind of use our platform right now to kind of transform that journey along with what the initiatives government is taking. So yeah, that was my point.
Okay, thanks, Nikhil. Last one for Saravanan before we get into the Q&A session. Saravanan, anything you would like to highlight on the implementation side of it? That what should be a proper rollout strategy if someone wants to embark on this journey of embracing the e-invoicing solution.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinita. So at TEPS, basically, we recommend a few best practices for a smoother transmission to e-invoicing. First is phased rollout. So with our customer, when they have more volume records in terms of vendors and customers records and all, so it's better to optimize before scaling up. And then we provide better stakeholder engagement. So we actively work with the customer and engage in all this training activities to the team members, and also on the data accuracy. So we basically standardize the data with the customer, how it needs to be created and all such things and all. And finally on system integration. So we have created the solution in such a way it is seamlessly integrating with Business Central. And by this way, we would be able to provide a better experience to our customer from TEPS.
Yeah, thanks, Arvind. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Nikhil, for being part of this panel discussion. We are now get into the next session, which is Q&A, and I can see some questions already there. So let me just pick out some and probably choose who can address. So, Sarvanan, maybe this is for you. There's a question that what other solution do you offer from TEPS apart from the e-invoicing solution?
Yeah, so TEPS is already pioneered in reportings like Power BI, and currently we are up to trend with Copilot and AI-related features. And also, we are one who had done several projects in low-code, no-code solutions like Power Apps, which is basically building mobile apps within few weeks itself. So implementing mobile app would take for some companies a few months, but we would be able to do it within a span of 4 to 6 weeks itself. And we are currently working out on AI solutions. So basically, for taking better solution, I mean better decision making and all. So we have our own intellectual products like vendor bid management solutions and all. So when you need to compare quotes between multiple vendors and all, so the AI solution which we had built, so that would be helpful in order to take a better decision why we have to go with vendor B instead of vendor A, comparing a few vendors. I'm just referring to two vendors, but it can be like up to 10 vendors also. So in this way, the purchase request or the whole RFQ process itself would be like in a better managed way with AA's recommendations as well. So these are our core components where we focus on as of now.
Okay, and there's one more which says, are there any case studies of successful implementations which you would like to highlight for the audience?
Yeah.
Sarvanan, any use cases that you could talk about?
Yeah, so far we had done a successful implementation with non-profit and also established organizations in Singapore as well. So in terms of Malaysia market, so we had done the implementation for organizations in manufacturing sectors also. So so far these are all the organizations where we have implemented the e-invoicing.
Thanks, Arvind. Nikhil, this one is for you, I guess. Does Microsoft operate a data center in Malaysia?
We are very close to our data center launch in Malaysia. Like I'm sure most of our customers would have already heard our initiatives and a lot of publicity we've done on what we've doing with Malaysian data center launch. We're expecting to have the data center up and ready very soon, in a couple of quarters, I believe. So yes, very soon we'll have a local data center right in Malaysia.
Yeah, thank you. I think Satya Nadella came himself to Malaysia, so I know that the whole region is getting a lot of importance from Microsoft. Esther, there's a question on PEPPOL that if I adopt PEPPOL, how do I get all my suppliers? So send me e-invoices using PEPPOL format.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is also one of the frequently asked question. Yeah. Okay, so businesses can be supplier and buyer, i.e., they can send or receive e-invoice. So as a buyer, you can make it a requirement for all your suppliers to only send e-invoice to you using PEPPOL. Okay, but then of course the question is, what if not all of my suppliers are PEPPOL enabled? So it is understandable that not all your suppliers will be PEPPOL ready on day one. You are implementing PEPPOL, but it will take maybe 3 months, 6 months down the road for all your suppliers to be PEPPOL ready for sure. But during this transition period, those that can send e-invoice using PEPPOL to you can do so. But those not yet ready, they can still use the business as usual method. Okay, but we have seen businesses in other countries whereby, especially large enterprises, when they implement PEPPOL, they allow grace period of say 6 to 9 months for their supplier to actually submit invoice to them using PEPPOL. So after the grace period, all invoices must be submitted via PEPPOL. So yeah, but what if what happened to the smaller suppliers who doesn't use any accounting software or ERP, right? Because we know some of their suppliers must be in a smaller scale. So that is working with a lot of accredited PEPPOL service provider and PEPPOL ready solution providers, whereby they offer freemium solutions to SMEs, i.e. it will be free to use. For example, up to 50 e-invoice per month. So once it exceeds the threshold, then they have to start paying, for example. So hopefully this will make it easy and also lower the entry barrier for those smaller businesses to onboard to PEPPOL.
Okay. All right. So that brings us to the end of the session. We do have few questions. I guess, Zaki, you could probably get back to those over email, because we've already overshot by 10 minutes. So thank you so much. Once again, thanks, Nikhil. Thanks, Esther, for joining us. And to the audience, what you see on the screen is a QR code, which is kind of a QR code. This is a form fill up wherein if you're interested to know more about your existing invoicing processes, and if you would like to have a free assessment, you could fill in the form, send it to us, and Zaki will get in touch with you. And then before we leave, we would like to leave our contact coordinates with you. Zaki is our a contact person based in Kuala Lumpur. His coordinates, his email ID, and his numbers are flashing on the screen right now. And if you liked whatever we presented today, you can schedule a one-on-one call with him by scanning the QR code. And in the beginning, I had also shown a slide that apart from e-invoicing, we also offer services across from automation, application engineering, cloud, data security, etc. If you'd like to know more about these services, please schedule a call with Zaki. We'll be more than happy to assist you to understand how TEPS can help you to embark on your digital transformation journey. So once again, thank you very much. Have a good day and hope to see you all soon for our next session on webinar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.